Hi and welcome to this week's market update. Of course, we are going to cover what has happened to the stocks that we were looking to either get into long or short. I can't wait for that. Also, in this week's episode, we are going to be discovering cryptocurrencies. Oh my goodness, you should see what is happening with some of them. For example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Also, the volatility in the market due to so many different things that are happening. We don't know whether we're coming or going. But we will look and see how we, and you of course, can take advantage of that. And finally, a vaccine, and that was the word I was looking for. A vaccine has finally, not just one company, but several companies have finally, miraculously, after the elections, have come out to say that they have one. My name is Marcus de Maria. This is my head trader, Dennis Salstrom, and let's get to it. So let's start with the recap when we look at what's happened over the last week on any stocks that we were looking to get into. Dennis, take us away. What is the first stock?
Yes, so the first stock we're going to take a look at is gold. It's Barrick's Gold.
I remember this one because I actually have a position in this one. I'm looking to get in again if it falls. Now, from the height that we saw last time, it didn't actually gap down. Remember, gapping means that overnight people are either buying and selling. Here they're selling, so it gapped down. And we said, look, we want to wait until the minus 15 from this most recent high. Okay, so what happened in the meantime, Dennis?
Yeah, so in the meantime, it actually went down. So gold had quite a bit of a dip, and Barrick's Gold followed the price action. Okay,
so what that basically means is for all of our graduates who haven't managed to get into Barrick Gold, now is a really good first entry point. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, what's next?
So next up is Zoom.
Zoom. Okay, well this is what we use. We used to go to webinar. Everybody's using Zoom to do teleconferencing with their friends and in business. And so from this high, it went down 22%, which would have been our first entry point. And now I'm assuming it zoomed all the way back up and we made a profit, Dennis, yes?
Yes, indeed. But it zoomed down instead.
It zoomed down, all right, with a great big gap there. We had a little bit of profit, then it gapped down, but went to minus 30, which would be our second entry point, meaning we would have a nice average price if we would have gone in with the same amount of money. But in our rules, we add a little bit more money the second time around. So our average price is not in the middle, it's a little bit low here. So it doesn't need to go up. I'm hoping it comes down a little bit more. We have some support around here, so we can keep feathering into that position. So exciting to see what happens. Okay, what's next?
So next up is Weatherspoon.
Ooh, Weatherspoon, yes. I remember this. So we were waiting for it to come all the way back up to this line here, which was its resistance line before we sold short. And it did, it went down. Sadly, without us, Dennis. It went massively down, a good old 10% here, but not with us in it, unfortunately. So we missed out on that one.
We did, but that's how it is, yeah. So we looked at this at the 20th of October, so it was quite a few weeks ago. And what have happened since then, so instead of rushing in around this point here where it fell down, we have been waiting for it to come back up again, and now it has.
So actually at this point here, actually the one to get into would have been quite a few days ago, where this green candle broke going down here, so on one of these two red candles, for example. But good news, it has gone back up again, so it does give us a kind of a second bite at the cherry, although it's a little bit low. It could be a little bit higher, but it's still not a bad entry point. But it all depends on the risk-reward ratio, Dennis.
Absolutely. So we do need a 3-to-1 risk-reward ratio.
And then a 1-to-3 risk-reward ratio.
Yeah, 1-to-3 risk-reward ratio. Yes. Exactly. So, but I'm a little bit worried about this region here in June, because I would need to put my stop loss above that to be very safe. So I don't think I get my 3-to-1 on this one here.
That's the start of the buffalo. So Dennis is right. We need to, because some people, they look at this one here, but the start of the buffalo actually was around here. So we need to look at the highest point it's ever been. If it breaks up above that, it's just going to carry on going up. Okay, so we need to put that stop loss. So if we did that, and we got in around here, this would be our one risk in order to do what? Oh, you're talking about up here, so that would be even worse. So this would be our one risk to make 1.5.
Not worth it.
Not worth it. If we are risking 1%, we've got to be making at least 3%.
So we'll keep an eye on it, right? So if it goes up a bit more and testing the outer resistance, then we might revisit this. So keep it in your watch list for now.
Alrighty, what's next?
So next up is Apple. So we looked at Apple 2 weeks ago.
And we were in profit!
Yay! 10% in profit.
All right, 10%.
And what happened since then is that it's still 10% in profit.
Okay, so it came a little bit down, then went back up again, and it formed a trough here. So Dennis, when are we actually going to raise our stop loss?
Yes, very good question. So what I've done here is it now went up to the 16th, then it fell down a bit again around the 15th of November-ish, and then it went up again to test the high there around 120. So I moved my stop loss now a little bit conservative maybe, but to around 112, a little bit below this trough here.
Wow, you're really giving it a lot of time to move, so you must believe that there's going to be some fluctuation, but eventually it's going to go up.
Absolutely.
It all depends on how aggressive you want to be, right? Because, you could say, well, look, it's already up 10%. It depends what your target is for this, okay? You've got to look at the resistance. There's not a lot of resistance around here, but I mean, there is some here, there is now some here as well. I don't know, Dennis, I think maybe move it up a little bit, be a little bit more aggressive and lock in this much. Let's see what happens over the next couple of weeks, but whatever happens, we've locked in some profit.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. All right, what's next? Oh, and by the way, on Apple, very important, they have just launched their own semiconductor chip. I think that's the word for it. So they used to be with Intel, but they stopped using Intel and they've built their own with ARM Holdings. So therefore, this one is supposed to be like 3 times better than Intel. It seems to be a seismic shift. And so that is very, very bullish indeed. So I guess that's why you're giving it a little bit more room to move. Okay.
And they launched their iPhone 12 as well, which is also, they do release phones all the time, but they did release their iPhone 12, which is good news as well.
The big move is going to happen when they start launching the one that is going to be using 5G technology. Yeah. That's going to be the big launch. Okay, what is next?
So next up is the ticker IDA, so it's India Delta Alpha.
I remember this one. So this one here, we were looking to sell short, but unfortunately it gapped up and now it's no longer touching the line. And I asked Dennis, well, if it came back down below, would you sell short? And he said, well, that depends. Okay, so what happened?
Yeah. So what happened was it's kind of been consolidating since then. So what happened was it did go down a bit, retesting the old resistance, the upper blue line, which is the resistance, now maybe have turned into support instead, and I think it will move higher.
But wouldn't you have sold short here? Wouldn't you, like when it went below this mark here, would you not have gotten in on this red candle, Dennis?
Yes, if we zoom in a little bit there, we can see that it did break below, but what I would have done in this case would have been to put a order below that, so if it continued down, so I would look for a continuation for it to go down a little bit.
Really?
Yes.
Is this just in hindsight you're saying that? Because look, because this one went down here, so why didn't you just go a couple of percents below that? That red candle would have gotten you in, surely, no?
Yeah, but usually what happens is that it uses previous resistance as support. So if it breaks, so you want
a confirmation.
A confirmation, yeah, exactly, because it's this resistance has been so solid for the last bounces, and now something kind of abnormal happened in the pattern. So that scared me off a little bit.
All right, so you wouldn't have gotten in. Now it's gapped up again, as you can see on this one here. So it's really broken that pattern, so probably not selling short on that. Do we have anything more?
No, that's it for the recap.
That's it for the recap. Let's get to the next section. It is time to get bullish on cryptocurrencies. Dennis, take us to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin just a few months ago used to be at what? Just around the 4,000 mark. Now it's at 16,700. Has the bull market started? We've been waiting for this for the last 3 years, Dennis.
Yeah, we've been waiting very patiently for this to happen.
Not so patiently, but we have been waiting and building our positions. And now that it's gone up, it's absolutely fantastic. Our portfolios are almost at an all-time high, not quite. So has the bull market started, or is it going to pull back? Dennis thinks it's going to go back to 6,000. But there you go. So you never know. It's going to break out, in my opinion. But we will see. And the reason that I think that is because institutions are getting in. We have been screaming from the rooftops to everybody who will listen that institutions are getting in. We know about Square, 50 million. What's that other kind of MicroStrategy? 425 million. Because you could leave it in the bank doing nothing. Or, by the way, those guys went in at 12,000. And they, 425 million. Look at that. How much money have they made? That's absolutely fantastic. Good call there. But also, think about this. PayPal just announced, they announced it a week ago that they were going to do it in the US next year, but they just announced that they are now able, starting now, able to hold. You can also buy and sell cryptocurrencies on PayPal.
That is amazing.
PayPal is pretty big. You've got to understand, institutions are getting in, okay, and that is bullish.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of them are dipping their toes now, and they are maybe allocating around 5% to get into cryptos, right? Because we would never say get in with everything, and we would always say use a strategy. But I think they're starting to get into it because it is a recognized asset class now. And another thing I would like us to take a look at is the number of active addresses here. Now, this chart might be a little bit tricky to to understand, but the small line at the top here, that is the price.
The price, that's the price, and this is the number of active addresses.
So we can see that the level of active addresses is almost the same now as it was back in 2017 when we peaked in the last bull market. So this kind of
that's not quite to scale though, Dennis, because this is 4,000, right?
So we have now, so I can tell you the exact numbers here. So let's see here.
Yeah.
So back in 2017, we had approximately 1,136,000 active addresses.
Okay.
A little bit more, but
yeah, that's fine around.
Yeah, and then now we have around. Let's see here if we can get this to work.
1.1.
Yeah, around just over 1 million, right? So we have 1.169. So it's around the same level.
Right.
So and this is active Bitcoin. This is not because we have over 50 million active blockchain addresses. This is just for Bitcoin.
Right.
So this means that more and more people are actively investing, actively trading, actively getting involved into Bitcoin and cryptos.
And we told you that in 2020 they did a global survey, as they always do, of fund managers to ask them, are they going to get into cryptocurrencies? And remember, 96% of them said that they would commit at least some more, 0.5%, so 0.5% into cryptocurrencies. The latest one, Stanley Druckenmüller here, he basically has built a $4.4 billion fortune as the head of Duquesne, I think that's French, capital management. Back in 2018, he claimed no way was he going to get into Bitcoin. He is now saying that it is equivalent to gold and is getting in. That's big.
He even said, he's a very famous when it comes to gold investments, but he even said that Bitcoin probably has the potential to go up a bit more than gold even in terms of percentage, just because it's so much smaller, so much more illiquid, if you like, which means that...
in terms of percentages, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
For
in terms
sure,
of percentages,
absolutely.
yeah.
But he's big on gold, so for him to say that is really saying something. Now the other thing that we want to mention is that Bitcoin obviously doesn't have that high to go, because if it's at 16,700, the highest that it went was 20,000. If it goes above 20,000, all bets are off. I mean, there's no ceiling. Everyone's going to jump on. It's going to be a frenzy. So that's what we're waiting for. Maybe you've got something to show us.
Absolutely. This is Bitcoin still, but we can move over to some other ones. So this is the 1 year chart, right? So just look at this. This is the 1 year chart for Bitcoin, and you can see that it's at the highest point in that 1 year.
Yeah.
But if we take a look at XRP, it's actually not at the highest point in 1 year. So there's
some resistance coming up here, right?
Yeah. So the altcoins hasn't really moved as much as Bitcoin. So usually what we've been seeing in the past is that after Bitcoin has moved, then we have been seeing the altcoins move afterwards. Because then they sell Bitcoin into these other altcoins, and altcoins are just all other cryptos than Bitcoin.
It's just funny how quickly it moves. A couple of days ago I was looking, it was 0.27. Yesterday I was looking, it was 0.28. This morning it looks like it's broken the 0.29. These things move very, very fast, Dennis. What about Ethereum though?
Yeah, Ethereum is also interesting, right? So that is around the highest point this year. So it had a boost, and we think that Ethereum can go up a lot coming months. In the short term, anything can happen, but in the coming months, it could go up a lot for many reasons. And one big reason is Ethereum 2.0. That's going to be launched the 1st of December if everything goes as planned.
It's going to make it faster, going to make it more secure, going to make it more scalable above everything else. Some people are going to argue this is a kind of a cup formation. It's not very nice cup formation, which normally means that if it goes above this level here, it could go up to the upside. Well, if it goes above this level, it will go up to the upside. That is fantastic. Do you have anything else to show?
Yes, so one last thing I would like to show, just to give you guys perspective here. That is a chart that shows you the graph of Bitcoin, which is I think the red line. I'm a bit colorblind here,
Yeah,
yes.
kind of dark orange, yeah.
And then
Ethereum is the blue line and XRP is down there. So what that really shows us, I think, is that, from this is all time, so this is no longer a year, so it's all time. Bitcoin has got a little bit to go, but Ethereum to its all time, I think it was about 1,400, has got a huge amount to go, but the biggest is XRP. Now, obviously, it depends on whether you believe in XRP. They really divide the camp, right? Some people love XRP. They have entire channels on YouTube about XRP because they think it's going to be part of the new world order. I don't even want to say bet. My money is on Ethereum. It's got plenty of upside. We know that there is as you just said, that the version 2.0 is coming out, and the most applications are built on Ethereum still.
Absolutely.
What is there not to like?
Yeah, exactly. It's a supercomputer. Call it maybe the Internet 2.0 or something like that. But one thing I would mention is these are the top 3, right? These are among the biggest ones, the safest ones in the crypto world, and they're not nearly as safe as investing in Microsoft and these big companies. But just so you know, so make sure you don't just rush in. We always want to wait for a dip before getting in, for example. So a lot of people asking, should I buy Bitcoin now at 16, 17,000? For me, I would wait for a dip. Even in the big bull market in 2017, we saw at several occasions Bitcoin went down 30-40%. And
so
then
what
came
kind
up
of a
again.
bit? What kind of a dip would you wait for?
I would wait for a 20% dip.
A 20% dip?
Absolutely.
As much as that before going in?
Yeah, well, every time people say this time it's different, and maybe it is different.
So here's what I would say. I'd say if you're looking to get into buy Bitcoin and hold it, then yes, wait for the dip and follow a strategy. If though you are just looking to get into Bitcoin so that you can quickly buy some other altcoins, then do it. And that was the whole point of this section, is to let you know that Bitcoin has been traveling up to its all-time highs even, but the other altcoins haven't moved as much. So if you want to get into Bitcoin, maybe keep some, but the rest of it put into altcoins. Now's a good time to do it, Dennis.
Absolutely.
All right, next. I guess we need to talk about the elections. So I guess, do we really need to talk about the elections?
I think we sound like a broken record at this point.
But Biden, apparently the president-elect, and apparently Trump, he's not going to relinquish and thinks that it's all been miscounted, etc. But what's important for us is the volatility that gives us. Now, normally what happens is that after an election, or as soon as the announcements of an election are published, normally that means security, because they go, we don't know, volatility, we know. And then things tend to quieten down. Generally, the stock market goes up. So let's have a look. Has the stock market gone up? I mean, it has gone up, but is that really why it's gone up, Dennis?
Yeah, the stock market made some new all-time highs, which is interesting. So we're not, we could look at it actually, but the Dow Jones, the 30 biggest companies in the US, has actually made some all-time highs, which is interesting. And what worries me a bit is that the sentiment in the market is very, very, very bullish, which usually I'm a little bit, as a contrarian, I get a bit cautious when that happens. So it's gone up a lot because now not only do we have the elections over, but also the lockdown seems to be ending. They have like something in sight there. We're going to speak about that in a moment.
Well, that's interesting because the lockdown seems to be not ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you say ending or not ending?
I said ending, but it's
not ending. You know, so honestly, I don't know what's happening in the market. Let's just have a look at some stocks. All right.
Yeah.
So this one here, Intel.
Yes.
Well, that's funny because I just said that Apple stopped using Intel, and as you can see, they've had some pretty major breakdowns. Having said that, though, Dennis, this is a really gappy stock, right? It tends to gap up and down all the time.
Yes, but one thing to pay attention. This might be a good learning point for you. You see these E's down here. This stands for earnings, and that's when they come out with news such as not working with Apple anymore. They maybe release their financial statement, how well they're doing or how bad they're doing. So usually when you see these gaps, it's actually in relation to the earnings. So that's why we avoid the earnings when we trade.
Very good. So where is it at now? This looks like, are you trading this on the Buffalo or is this a VCA?
Yes, trading this on the Buffalo. This is because it's a combination of both really, but I want to show it in relation to the Buffalo. So we want to trade the volatility with a stop loss.
So it would have been good a day ago now to get in on this one here with a stop loss just below this. So if this would have been your one risk, 1% of your entire portfolio, then this would have been 1, 2. Yep, we got a 1 to 3. We got a 1 to 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this absolutely. What do you mean?
Oh, I'm just laughing because that's probably why you're showing it.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what we want to look at, right? We have a lot of bounces. It's telling us it might go up from here, and the fundamentals are good on this company, making great revenue as well.
All right. What else do we have?
So next up is, because it's another one, which is AN. This is Alpha Nando's, which also, by the way, is a good restaurant.
Alpha Nando's, really?
Oh, really?
Okay, what do they do?
So,
Automation.
Yes, so they do have good fundamentals, and it is an upward trend as well.
Holy moly.
It has left the station, it's left the support line.
I mean, that is a very steep... I personally wouldn't get into this one, Dennis, because over the last year, this has been going up like crazy bonkers. I mean, look at the percentage.
I know.
Hold on, it was at around $20. Now it is at around $60. That's ridiculous.
This is the new world we live in, Marcus.
No, but 300%. Do you really want to get in there?
Well, I mean, no, not really, but with a stop loss, yes. Because it could have a last wave up, for example.
So with a stop loss, I'd be 300%, but actually 200%. I personally... Okay, well, it'll have to be one hell of a stop loss.
Stop loss. Yes, it will be a very tight and secure stop loss. Absolutely.
Okay. So where would you put the stop loss? Would you put it on this one here or this one here?
No, the one before that. So I wouldn't get in now. I would wait for it to come down a bit more. So the one in the beginning of November or end of September.
But if you do that, if it comes down here, this is your 1 to get 1, 2. Are you going to do that? A 1 to 2?
No, 1 to 3. So it will depend on the candle. This is a nice upward trend I'm looking at, but I do need a good candle at the support line in order to justify my 3 to 1.
All right, fine. All right, well, I mean, you know, the trend is your friend. It's going up. You don't go against your friends. It's going up. So I guess, Dennis, just following the rules, I must have eaten a bad pizza or something, because that seems a little bit risky. But with a stop loss, the electronic order that makes sure that it stops your losses, why not? Absolutely fantastic. What do we have next?
So next up we have the other way as well, because volatility could mean both up and down. We just don't know.
It's so important that we hedge ourselves, right? So it's always a good idea to be long in one position and short in another, and then whichever way the market moves, you should be what's called hedged in the industry, which is fantastic. Okay, this one here is Cardinal Health. Okay,
yes.
Fantastic.
Cardinal Health, and so what we're seeing now, it's just at the resistance line. We see a couple of bounces here, 1, 2, and 3.
Perfect.
And so it's perfect. And now we have a risk-reward ratio. So if it goes down to the support of 1 to 5 even.
2, 3, 4.5. Yeah, wow. And even further. Yeah, absolutely. So this is definitely a good one here, and it hedges us as well. So having a nice stop loss above there, getting in a couple of percents below that low. Fantastic. Let's see what happens there over the next few weeks.
Yeah, what I like with this as well, if we look at the fundamentals, is that it has very high debt.
Look at that.
And it's the earnings per share this year is quite bad.
Quite bad, yeah.
It's quite bad.
Return on investment here, 47% in my... Anywhere where you see these kind of big signs on earnings per share or either ROA, return on asset, return on equity, return on investment, we would normally not invest in that. But here, what we're thinking, because of the technical as well, so we've got both the fundamental and the technical. Remember, the fundamental tells us which company to either invest in or sell short. Here we're selling short. And the technical tells us when to get into that company. So it's at the high of its range, and we would remember it has to fall for us to get in. It has to get us in. We don't just buy hoping. It has to get us in. Anything more on this one?
Not on this one, but we do have another one.
Ooh.
So this is Camp, also fallen quite a bit, but it's at the resistance line at the moment, which is the upper red one here. And it looks to be breaking out of it, so I need to wait for a...
Still touching the line though.
Exactly, I need to wait for a confirmation. So hopefully today's candle will be red, and then I would place my order on that.
So you wouldn't just do it just below if it breaks this one here?
Yes, that's absolutely, absolutely. But since I have the, I can actually look at the charts quite regularly, I would probably wait and see what is happening today. But yes, my aim is to get in 1% below this candle from today.
I like that we've got some going up, some going down. Very, very nice indeed to take advantage of that volatility. Is there another one here, ZM?
Yeah, no. That's it.
All right, fantastic. So there you go. That's a way to take advantage of this volatility, since clearly we haven't got a clue what's happening next in the markets. We're just trading what we see. All right, next. Okay, let's talk about something very important which everybody is going to want to know about, which is that several companies have actually come up with the rescue package for COVID-19, some kind of inoculation antivirus drug or something. Let's have a look at Pfizer, for example. Pfizer, of course, very famous for, what was it famous for again?
The blue pills.
The blue pills.
Yeah.
What do they do?
I think it was. It is for Viagra.
What's the name? Viagra. Oh,
yeah. But they
how
also,
do you know that?
I don't. I think.
Don't know. Okay, fine. They're famous for Viagra, and what's actually happened is that, as they said, that I think it was 90% efficacy. Shot up, as you can imagine, and then a load of selling started. Well, what happened was, and I hope we have a headline for this, is that the CEO of Pfizer actually sold 62% of his shares right at the top. There we go. 62% of his stock the same day. It looks pretty bad, doesn't it? When a company has got something, as it says there, which is a matter of life or death, that kind of looks bad, doesn't it?
It does look bad. And another thing which is quite interesting, apparently it came out news as well that they knew about this vaccine before the election as well. So even, I think it was the beginning of, in the middle of October, they actually told both Biden and Obama that they had a vaccine. And that's insider information. Previously, when something like that have happened, it's been a big scandal. But now, there hasn't been too much talk about it. So it's quite interesting that they, of course, announced it after the election. And now several companies are doing the same.
Yeah, so the other company... Oh, well, what would we do on this one? Let's go back to the chart, though, because we need to know what to do.
Yeah.
So look, this is short-term weakness. I think that as everybody is selling out, obviously, inside the company, actually, that is really bad. Like from that point of view, but also I'm not talking about just the moral point of view, because when the insiders are selling, doesn't that tell you something? What if they suddenly said, oh, it works 90%, but actually, when it actually comes out, they go, well, actually, some of the trials suggest that it's closer to 37%. Is that why they're selling? Because think about it, Dennis, it could have shot a lot further up as, the government is going to place a large order with Pfizer.
Potentially, but it could be a red flag that the CEO sold. So I would probably, could be, depending on the next couple of news that comes out, a good to get into with a strategy, the VCA strategy. However, now since other companies has been coming out, like Moderna, they came out with a drug with even more and better efficiency.
It's better, right? So it's around 93 points.
So I probably, unless the CEO sells shares in Moderna, I would probably look at getting into Moderna instead with the VCA
Somebody's
strategy.
been selling. It gapped up, but this is all selling. Look at this. It's a red candle. A lot of selling. Opened up here, went high, so that would have been a green candle, but then, and then went all the way down here. And then some buying again. So the bulls and the bears are fighting it out there. But Dennis, this is not a time to get into this, surely.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I would wait for a 20% drop before getting into this.
I don't even know whether that's going to happen. But don't chase a stock. If it isn't going to follow your rules, it's just one of those things. There's plenty of others out there. So with Pfizer, it might be, and by the way, it hasn't dropped 20% yet, Pfizer, so we need to wait for it to drop.
Need to wait for Pfizer as well. It's down around 6-7%. So just be patient, put those two in your watch list. But and then also keep an eye out for, of course, the lockdown. I know on Friday they once again, we sound like a broken record, but they announced that the highest number of COVID cases again. So, and they are also thinking about doing another lockdown in US, not a whole lot of countrywide so far, but in several states. So we'll see what happens, right? But there's definitely going to be a lot of volatility. So look at the stocks that we are trading and trade those, and then wait for the other ones to calm down.
Absolutely. Okay, and they're even talking about a potential lockdown over the Christmas period, which I think there'll be riots. I mean, I don't think people are going to want to do that at all.
No, it's a flu season as well. And another thing just pay attention to here is if you might have seen like a lot of this, the airlines, EasyJet had earnings this week.
EasyJet, oh my goodness, for the first time in its, we should look at the chart.
Yeah, let's do that.
For the first time in its history, think about this, it actually had a period of losses. But these weren't small losses like 10 million, 100 million, whatever. It's 1.1 billion. That's a huge loss. I mean, most companies would be wiped out by that. So let's have a look.
Yeah, so this is EasyJet, right? So
it's not easy yet. It's EasyJet.
It's EasyJet, exactly. Sorry, English is my second language.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, so it's coming up to resistance here. I mean, it did go up a bit, but nothing really happened on the earnings, even though. But that's what's so interesting about this, because the analysts estimate they're gonna do a big loss, and then if the loss is a little bit less than expected, well, then that's positive all of a sudden, and then the stock goes up in value. So I think that's quite interesting. But yes, it has taken a lot of damage. I mean, if we look that before COVID and then after, it's not really moved up that much. So it is definitely one to watch. We're definitely, if doing anything, looking to short this. To make money as it goes down.
Yeah, but where would we put our stop loss? This is an unclear pattern, and so therefore it's very difficult to guesstimate where the stop loss would be. I mean, it could be above. It could be above this one here, just to be very safe. If that's your one, then you've got 1, 2. I don't know. It's very unclear.
I will wait for it to go up a bit more if I even looked at this. But make sure you follow a strategy. But I think the point I wanted to mention here was a lot of them went up because the anticipation that the lockdowns are over. But we don't know that yet. The media is saying, you know, we have vaccines, so they think the market is going to be over. So a lot of the companies, such as travel companies, right, airlines and cruise companies like Disney, like all these companies that took a big beating, they are now going up. So the stock market has been rising ever since the election, just because the situation seems to be better. But the question is, of course, if it really is getting better, and that is yet to be seen.
Absolutely fantastic. So. Make sure that you maybe even watch this video again so that you can get all the different ones that we're looking to get into or sell short. So I really hope you enjoyed this week's market update as much as we did, and please do comment below. For example, would you take the vaccines offered by Pfizer and or Moderna or any other company, or would you not? Comment below. What if they make it mandatory? Would you take it then? I hope you enjoyed this week's update. Please do hit that like button. We would be most appreciative if you did. And more importantly, please make sure you subscribe so that you never miss out on what we are getting into or selling short or exiting, so you can do the same.